Uwuscat is not an unheard of name in the Minecraft community, being a whopping level 60 on Hypixel, the most popular server in the world. He has the MVP Plus rank, which is not cheap by any regards, a whopping $39 for any VIP, and $45 for normal players. Despite his dedication, he was recently banned for a year on Hypixel, previously for association with hackers. I know it may become surprising, but the purpose of this video is to make the information more accessible to the public, and show the world the importance of remaining pure on Minecraft servers. This is how Uwuscat cheated. Let's start with this clip where he destroys my house of lava and thus kills the majority of my villagers. This is completely fine, as it was an anarchy server. However, I suspect he used a combination of invisibility, teleporting, and creative mode. Here's the clip.
That's a fact. He killed me after, but I still killed him though.
Why is there lava all over my house? And why are my villagers dying? If you could ignore how chill I am about my stuff and all my villagers dying, you might notice suspicious movement with the bucket. There are three main takeaways from this. 1. The bucket does not spin in any way. 2. There are no particle effects visible. And 3. The bucket is thrown far and high. This already looks quite suspicious, and when asking Uwuscat about this, he has one clear answer in mind. It was a falling bucket item. This may seem right on paper, but there are some other problems with this idea. First, let's start with particle effects. In Minecraft, when invisible, there are two particle effects. Walking gives an effect, and potions give an effect. Within this clip, you can see an adjusted version of what being invisible actually looks like. Within this clip, there is no instance of particle effects anywhere, so this confirms he wasn't invisible. Before we continue, I want to show you how the narrator works. In the bottom right hand of my screen, there is a chat that reads what is happening. As you can see, it shows footsteps only to the left and not from the right, where the bucket was thrown. The narrator always shows where the players are around you, showing nothing if they are directly in front of or behind the player. This shows he wasn't moving. Next, we will address the position in the room. Here I've recreated the room with accuracy. As you can see, he could have been hiding behind the bookshelves, as it is the only area where my vision was obstructed. Before we continue, let's look at reach in Minecraft. You see, 4 blocks is the maximum range vertically, and for diagonally, it is no different. Assuming that he was standing here, it would become impossible to reach far enough to place lava there, where in the clip the lava is placed. Another problem with the idea that it was a falling bucket item is the movement of the bucket. In the clip, the bucket does not rotate whatsoever, but when trying to recreate this effect, no matter the distance, the bucket rotates constantly. Occam's razor, or the law of parsimony, states, entities should not be multiplied without necessity, or rather, the simplest explanation is often correct. So let's look at a more simple answer.
How'd he get in?
There were 2 players at my base, Hafa guarding the door and Tigo doing whatever he normally does. But how did he get past both players unheard of? Perhaps he mined under my base. But that raises another question. How did he get to my base? I mean, yeah, Uwuscat arrived at my house quick. I mean very quick, almost instantaneously as well. So how? It's common knowledge that the Nether allows a player to travel 8 times faster than in the overworld. But I had portal trapped mine, and the obsidian was never broken, so he must have gone by foot. He had no potions, horses, or elytra either. So how? Let's assume he got to my base legitimately, without any cheats. In order for him to have gotten to my house so quickly, he would have needed to know basic trigonometry. Knowing the coordinates of both our bases, he could have assumed a right angle triangle, and knowing Pythagoras' theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, he could have figured out the distance of around 183 blocks. This is not very complex maths, but remember, this is 183 blocks diagonally, not straight. This means he would have had to been running at an exact angle. But which one? Let's call the angle A. Knowing that the sine of any angle is equivalent to the opposite over the hypotenuse, this allows us to plug in our previous numbers, and find an angle of around 12 degrees, or rather, assuming that our bases are both parallel towards north, on a bearing of 348 degrees. So, he would have known the angle and distance to travel. So how long would it have taken him? Assuming that he was sprint jumping at an average speed of 6.8 blocks per second, He could have arrived at my base in 30 seconds. This seems quite reasonable, but remember, I lived in a spruce village, meaning there would have been many hills and tightly packed trees. Not only would this delay his movement, but it means that every time he turned around a tree, he would need to adjust his angle perfectly each time. This also assumes he never stopped to eat food, to ensure he had enough hunger to sprint as well. So this begs the question. Is Uwuscat capable of doing trigonometry while simultaneously dodging past trees, and constantly readjusting his bearing perfectly? Is he capable of passing 3 players without a sound, and somehow placing down a lava bucket with impossible reach and throwing it at an impossible parabola, while maintaining complete invisibility? I for one have no clue, but maybe we can find someone else who does. Here I've interviewed 3 players with a relation to Uwuscat in some way. Hafa, what is your relation to Uwuscat?
You know, I talked to him a couple of times. Seemed like a normal guy. But apart from that, I lived with him. I had a little tribe with him.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So I've sent you a photo of the equation. Do you think he'd be able to solve this relatively quickly?
Hmm. No, I do not.
You
I do
do not
not.
think this? Okay,
Absolutely
interesting.
not.
I have one more question for you. When you were guarding my base, did you ever see his name tag or anything that might suggest that he was nearby?
Um, I saw like a floating lava bucket, and I could definitely sense that he was nearby.
What's your relation to Uwuscat?
So basically, we had been married for 15 years prior to the events that happened. It all started on our wedding day when things started to go south. A suicide bomber, armed with a handmade explosive, ran through the red carpet on our wedding hall and he blew us up. The police failed to stop him, so he has never been found. That is why Uwuscat and me have been so on edge for all these years. That may have been why he committed the crime.
How very unfortunate. Do you think he could have solved this equation relatively quickly?
No. You see, the 100 there, it's more than he can count. Ever since I checked, he could only count to 72.5. Every time he tried higher, he would just start kissing me.
Interesting. And one final question. You said you were getting banned on the server. Is this true?
Yeah, so ever since this harmful marriage day, he's been trying to file for divorce, but I still count us as married, because personally, I don't agree with the statement. So he had finally found a new way to divorce me, which was banning me.
Interesting. Do you have any last words to say?
Yeah, Oscar's not he's not stupid. He's just mentally handicapped and retarded.
Leo didn't want his voice to be in the video, but from our conversation he mentioned Uwuscat was flexing his ability, and mentioned he had an assassin plugin. Well, that's odd. Leo claims Oscar was showing his invisibility off beforehand. But the effect invisibility with commands allows one to remove particle effects, but that still leaves for footsteps and sounds. So how, within the confines of the game, could he have achieved this effect? Let's see. The server he hosts the world on is a Spigot server, a completely normal server hoster. On OneNote, however, Spigot allows the addition of plugins. And after he said, Oscar is no stranger to the use of plugins. Let's presume that he had a variety of plugins pre-downloaded, as the server wasn't always an SMP. It's not without reason to assume that he could have had an invisibility or spectator plugin installed. This of course is just speculation, but it leaves a thought in mind. What is Uwuscat capable of doing on his Minecraft server? I mean, it's his server. He is opt. So let's see some more clips, which I think show some more explicit information. Let's look at another clip, where Uwuscat seamlessly teleports. This could be explained easily. Ender pearls. Ender pearls allow a player to teleport wherever the pearl lands, so let's look at detail how pearls work. As you can see, there are 2 takeaways from ender pearls. 1. The player takes damage, and 2. Particle effects are generated. But when reviewing the clip, there is no damage nor particle effects visible. The only way, as far as I'm concerned, to achieve that level of teleportation is by using the command /TP, which of course requires op to use. Next, let's look at another clip. As you can see, I'm fighting as normal, when suddenly I die 4 times repeatedly. There are 2 takeaways. 1. I die instantly, and 2. The in-chat message, TNT836, fell out of the world. I was wearing semi-full netherite god armor, so how could I have died instantly at the hands of a player with no items? The answer is simple. Who said he killed me? The first in-chat message was TNT36 fell out of the world while trying to fight a Yandi. While implies something else killed me. Like for example, the death message TNT36 burned in lava while trying to fight a zombie, where the lava kills the player, and not the zombie. The same logic can be applied here. When trying to replicate this death message, I had no luck, even when renaming weapons. I did, however, have a luck with the command /kill, which created a very similar effect to the one I experienced, which of course requires op. Finally, let's look at this last clip where my inventory seems
Oh, he just clipped my inventory.
Oh, he just.
There's not much to say about this clip, as the only way to remotely mimic this is via the command /clear, which also of course requires op, which to Minecraft is considered cheats. Probability is a term used to describe the likelihood of something happening. For example, the chance one would be struck by lightning IRL is 1 in 500,000. So what's the chance Uwuscat didn't cheat? 1 in infinity. To put that in perspective, that's the same chance that Technoblade dies, or that Bangalore ever gets a reasonable buff in Apex Legends. Not at all very likely. So why? Why did I spend my time trying to show how Uwuscat cheated? I thought this would be a good example to show how cheating directly undermines others' hard work. Uwuscat's cheating made me lose 10 hours of work, gone in just a second. But don't worry about me, because if you know your enemy and you know yourself, you need not fear the results of 100 battles. Unless they're hacking. I want to thank Nachito for helping me out with this video. He helped in filming, the Bedwars footage, and is generally a nice guy. Thanks. I also want to thank the interviewees, who helped with gathering external information. And yes, I know, Uwuscat's response will probably be a combination of did I ask and I don't care, as he tends to overlook others' effort. Despite this, thanks for watching. I mean, this was no short video, and it took a while to make. Bye!